Alrighty then, what we are fixing to do is put together in some quart jars what I call my layered chicken soup. I use it for pot pies, and of course you can use it for soup. But what I do, of course, is I've got peas, carrots, green beans, onion, corn, and Vern found some boneless, skinless chicken thighs on sale. You still have to clean them up, cut off the fat and some of the tough pieces. But what I do is these are my discards of onion, celery, carrots, always keep in my freezer. With those discards, I put them in a smaller bag because those will be perfect when I'm making soup. And to not lose these, I stick them in my little vegetable stock bag. They go straight in my chest freezer. When I go to make turkey or chicken stock, it's right in there. But I usually have about 4 or 5 of these vegetable discards at a time because stock or broth, whatever you want to call it, is life. Yes, it is. And of course, this is going to go into a cold canner because none of this is hot. And I'm going to use my 4-jar lids because, you know, it's world domination of 4 jars. I have not had a single failure. Absolutely love these, and I'm so appreciative of all they've done for the YouTube canning community. Their generosity is off the chain. So I've got those in a pot of hot water. So then I will use them and put them on my quart jars to secure and ensure they hold on my layered chicken soup. I generally put potatoes in my little assembly line, but potatoes have not been on sale. And when they have potatoes, they're small. So what I'll do when I go to put together my chicken pot pie or soup, I'll open one of my jars of taters. These are from 2019. A tater is a tater, and I must have it in a pot pie. It's just how I roll. The liquid that I use is gonna be my own chicken stock, could be turkey stock if I wanted to use turkey stock from July of 2021, and I'll fill that up to 1 inch a head space. And we're going to process this for 90 minutes. It doesn't matter, I just picked the longest process time for the items I'm using. And chicken, in this case it's thighs, wouldn't matter if it's breast or leg meat, is gonna process for 90 minutes because it's a quart jar. I usually can in pints, or pints as my niece calls it. So let's get started on our assembly line. And let's see if I can show you this in a close-up. I got a lot of comments in my January video that people are struggling to open their jar without chipping. See how this raised piece of the glass goes down and descends wider? Of course, if we were to put our, excuse me. If we were to put this can opener here, if you can see it, it would be on that raised part and likely chip it and cause you not to use the contents of this for fear it went in. So you simply come around to the wider part and put your hooky-doo here to raise it. Let's do it over here. So on my wider part, boom shakalaka. And I was unable to answer so many questions that I got in my January video of the turkey broth and the turkey chunks because YouTube was having an issue. And when I would reply to a comment and click reply or post, it would tell me message removed. So one of the best comments I had was a fellow who had deboned a turkey years ago. And of course, then he got salmonella poisoning. So Vern and I made a note, the next time he debones a turkey, we'll wear some of our food safe gloves. I generally have some kind of cut on my hand because if I fish, I bleed, it's just how I roll. So we're gonna make sure to do that. So I appreciate every comment I got, and I'm very sorry I was unable to reply to them. But YouTube has a mind of its own, and I think it's because they were preparing for the shorts to go live where it was monetized, and even people who are not on DSL like me, it was taking forever to upload their videos. So as opposed to normally 6 minutes, it was taking them 2 hours. So hopefully, if I get comments on this, I can answer them, but I do apologize for not being able to. So of course, I'm gonna start out with some of my thigh meat. And remember, mine basically are in here to make pot pie. So I'm not gonna jab this down, but I wanna make sure I have a nice amount in each one. And of course, you get hot more lids than you think you'll use because you ain't got no idea how many it's gonna make. And we feed 2 people, so I ain't gonna lose my mind here. Gotta do the cannon lean. All right, I'm gonna do a little more. And there are still some fatty pieces on here that will add to the flavor of our broth. So we're gonna start out with some peas. I love me some petit pois peas, some carrots. Now remember, if I had any of these carrots left over, I would discard them because I'm touching them with my chicken hands. A little bit of Pokey Joe in here, just to get everybody down there. Okay, this is a beautiful soup when it's processed. These are some Italian green beans. I want some onion. Don't want to be overwhelmed with onion. And let's say I ended up with needing more of any of this. I come from a place of more, so I have more corn, more peas, more carrots. And these carrots, the reason I'm doing this, were on their last leg in my refrigerator. They were ready to go into compost in probably a week. And when he came home with this chicken thigh sale, I thought, oh, that's too cool. Let's do some more carrots. Okay, that's about as much as I need in this jar. So let's go ahead and add some of our rich broth. And we need, here we go. I'm between 1 1/4 and 1 inch of headspace. And that is a beautiful thing. So see, it ain't hard. What took the most prep was cleaning up the chicken thighs, even though a butcher did them. There we go. And remember, this chicken will release some broth as well. So I'm gonna clean this rim off and then get my hot lid on it. It ain't hard, it's just canning. If I can do it, you can too. I wipe mine off with vinegar. And I start with a clean countertop. And remember, in your kit, this is called a magic wand because it has a magnet. Let me get a lid. All right, here's our lid. Let's get one of our rings. Ooh, this must be a new 4 jars ring because it's not one of my trusty rusties. Okay, you know I use the limp hand method. It works for me. Hang it because it says finger tight. This is as far as my fingers can turn. Now, if I crank down on this, it'd be too much and I'd probably buckle my lid in processing. So for me, limp wrist, can't turn my fingers anymore. It's good to go. This victim's going in the canner. It ain't hard, it's just candy. Alrighty then, we got 4 quarts, which is fine with me. I have the small Presto. I've already ensured that everything is tight on my canner's lid. And just note, this is not upside down. I contacted Presto when I got this, and it is pictured just like this on the manual. They experimented with different vent lock covers, which is what this is. And mine was in 2012. I think it was 2011 and 2012, or 2012, 2013. It is in the correct position, and it is 2 pieces. So whether you have one shaped like mine, if I can show it to you. Well, this ain't easy. There we go. They screw together. So I make sure those are tight. Oops, sorry. I make sure this is tight at the bottom. And you make sure your emergency plug is flexible. When you get a new rubber ring kit, you get one of these as well as that new rubber ring. I always have 2 in stock. So I'm going to close my canner, and we are going to get it to vent. We're going to turn the heat up and get it to vent for 10 minutes before we start bringing it up to 10 or 11 pounds for my area. Easy peasy. Okay, here's the mess left on the counter. But because I might be a genius, I did this while Vern was napping. Because I promise you, if I went to sit outside and take a break after this, and he's up now, and the whole reason we didn't have husband interrupt us is I did it when he was napping. I promise you, I would come in here and find that he was making a sandwich right here in that mess, okay? Before I had sanitized, after the chicken, after all that. So, if you get the opportunity to do stuff on the down low when they're napping or somewhere else, take that opportunity, yes. So now, I'm totally prepared for my next canning load, which will be pints of chicken, boneless, skinless chicken breast that he also got on sale. These sales will wear you down. And after I do that, I will be old lady down in the sofa aisle, getting my groove on, vegging out, and just watching garbage. Because, you know, I can. And I think I neglected to mention that I got a luxury purchase. Because 4 Jars has been so good to this canning community, I got their timer. This thing is cute, and it's quite heavy and sturdy, so I am extremely chuffed about having this thing. Woohoo, its first voyage is today. So I have written down the time and set my new 4 Jars funky little cute timer to 10 minutes because now I have that steady stream of steam. My canner usually takes 8 to 10 minutes for this vent lock cover to come up. If it does not, I start checking around my canner to see if I have any drips of water that would indicate that my rubber gasket has given up the ghost. I've only had it one time happen to me. It only took once. Now I pay attention. So my pressure gauge will not change while I'm doing this 10-minute vent. That pressure gauge will only change when you put your regulator on, or in my case, the jiggler or weighted gauge. Then my pressure will start to come up. But I should not have my pressure go up while I'm simply venting for 10 minutes. So I write the time down, set a timer. A little back up to the backup, ain't never hurt nobody. Because canning is a science, and you don't cut the vent time down, and you don't increase the process time for fun, and you don't decrease it for fun either. And I let my jars sit in there maybe 10 minutes before I take them out after my pressure gauge drops to 0. because I don't want to get that sour thing that can happen when you leave your jars in a warm canner still covered. So my 10 minutes of venting steam is up. So now I've put on my weighted gauge, and you'll see that my pressure is starting to go up. And when it gets to 11 pounds, just a little bit over 10, my little weighted gauge will start to rock occasionally. And then I'll start the 90-minute process time. When that happens, I write down on a piece of paper what time it started, and then I set my timer. And I used my mouse timer to make sure that the new 4 jars timer was accurate. They both went off at the 10-minute mark. Woo! Love that. Accuracy is important, because it don't say to vent steam up to 10 minutes. It says do it for 10 minutes. The science is done for us. We just have to follow the instructions. And that is because I have something in the oven. My canner's loud and it's behind me. You don't realize how loud they are till you turn them off. We've got another 30 minutes. So how I talked about, I'm canning it for 90 minutes in quarts because the longest processed item happens to be chicken that's in my layered soup. So go to a trusted resource like the USDA Complete Guide to Canning. You can look up what I have, corn, green beans, etc. The longest processed item, and I have a weight, here's your dial gauge time. Here is our weighted gauge, all right? So it tells me that my pints, how long they will be, right? So there is with bones, without bones, and it's easy to determine. And remember, in 2019, they upgraded the time, the head space, so it's 1 1/4 inch head space for chicken. And I generally do chicken breast, which is why I wrote chicken breast there. So I always verify the process time. I'm not counting on my old lady memory, just not gonna do it, so that everything I have in my pantry shelf is safe to use. So this is the Cat's Pajamas. You do not have to purchase the book in a bookstore or on Amazon. You can actually have a free download for your desktop on your computer. So I like a hardback book. I'm old, I like to hold books. It's who I am and what I do. Alrighty then, my processing time's up. This has sat for 10 minutes and it is time to take out our jars. I do have my hood vent on. You hear that? And remember, this canner lid is going to drip very hot water on you. So I'm gonna lean it away from me. Now I can take my quart jars out, and then I have to let this cool because I have 5 pints of chicken breast to do next. But this is a beautiful thing. Look at that. Oh yeah. Now, canning nerds know all about this. My idea of a good time is to sit here for a few minutes. I mean, it'll go on for like 30 minutes and watch this continue to process and go, who done that? I done that. Oh my goodness. And there's no seasoning in this because that was fresh chicken. Fresh as in from the store chicken. I didn't grow it and kill it. So I can turn this into any kind of seasonings, put any seasonings in it that I want when I go to open the jar. So these will sit here overnight. Tomorrow afternoon, I will take these rings off, and then I will wash these jars in soapy water so there's nothing greasy. And I can tell you that these rings are already loose, and that is also something that's perfectly normal after you have processed the food in your pressure canner. And I had no siphoning on this one. Sometimes I get siphoning when I put tomatoes in my layered chicken soup. But if you ever have siphoning, do not panic. It's a completely normal thing. Get to canning, get to stocking your pantry shelves and don't be scared. Follow the procedures. It ain't hard, it's just canned.